Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmek here and welcome back to another video. Today, I've just got a bit of a ramble, a chatting video about Shadowlands Alpha, my thoughts on it so far, a couple of the announcements after we had the developer live stream the other day. I got invited with a number of other people to an event realm in which you were max level, you were in the Venthia Covenant. It was a look at Soulbinds and Conduits and the more and things like that. So I just wanted to put out a bit of a video and sort of chat through that and just sort of give my thoughts around where we're at in Shadowlands at the moment, what's coming, what I would like to see differently. And then I'm just going to finish up with some thoughts on the Blood DK at the moment, because it's really all that I've looked at in Alpha. I haven't really spent a lot of time over there. So I'm going to start off with some light, with something light, which is absolutely amazing. Hit this on a positive note. The new character creation screen is off its head. It's awesome. All right, I hated the little circles on each side when I first saw it. Okay, I was like, yeah, I'm not digging this. Give me back my grid. I'm not enjoying this. As soon as it all came together and the animations came into it, it's amazing. It is revamped. It's a really small thing. It's got nothing to do with gameplay or the experience that you're going to have in game. But from the get-go, from the starting screen now, character creation's on point. The new customizations that have come into races look absolutely awesome. New hairstyles, skin variants, accessories. I'm really digging it. Like, kudos to Blizzard here. You know, if one thing you buy Shadowlands for, it should be for the character creation screen, if not anything else. So a huge thumbs up from this. Each time you scroll through each of the classes, you'll get an animation. You can swap your races and everything like that, and just continue to see the animations of what they look like on the character. Thumbs up. It's awesome. Moving into a little bit of actual content now that I got to experience from the event realm was the Maw. So the Maw, basically you need to go to Orbis to access, and then you jump into this like middle kind of well, and you end up falling down into the Maw. Now, when you fall down into the Maw, straight away the most significant thing that will just take your breath away is the skybox. Absolutely stunning. It is absolutely amazing. So straight away, the scene is kind of set from that. The Maw is very desolate. Nothing in here likes you. You cannot mount, so you have to leg it everywhere, which is really annoying. There is shit everywhere in the Maw as well. You will unlock certain teleport points across the Maw by the looks of it, which will make, as you sort of gain further experience through Shadowlands and complete more things in the Maw, you'll end up kind of having better access points in the Maw to be able to maneuver around the actual zone itself. One thing that was really cool and an interesting system in the more things that you actually complete in the Maw, such as world quests and things like that, the more attention you end up drawing to yourself. So you've got this little jailer meter at the top of your screen, and it's tiered 1 to 5. And as you progress through that, different kind of, we'll call them affixes, will kind of impact you in the Maw. And it can be things like it'll make certain mobs, when you run past them, they'll just auto attack you, or it can be a random bombardment from the sky and things like that. And I didn't play it enough to find out what the other tiers were, but that's just a taste of it. The Maw is also going to be the place where you do a quest chain to unlock your Tower of Torghast access. So I did that, and it's actually not a bad quest chain in terms of time-wise. I think it took me about 30 minutes to do, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So really not that bad of an intro quest to gain access to Torghast. And as I said, the zone just looks amazing. The enemies in there look amazing. It's looking pretty cool. Moving into Covenants, so we've had a lot of info around Covenants as it is anyway. So you know there's 4 Covenants in total. There's Kyrian, Necrolords, Night Fae, and Venthia. Basically, you'll get to max level and you'll elect to join a Covenant. Shut up. A Covenant. So here's where things are going to get tricky for Blizzard. So while it's possible to switch covenants, once you have left a covenant or betrayed them, they don't let you back in easily. So I don't know if that's going to be as severe as Scries and Aldor was in TBC. Surely not, because that's an enormous amount of work to get back. But I think Blizzard need to be really, really careful about this one here. Each covenant offers signature abilities. Now, my personal opinion here is that the abilities should be 100% cosmetic. I don't think they should have real gameplay impacting features to these abilities. And if they are going to do that, then people need to be able to switch covenants easily. Or if you have a character that say gets, or you have 4, even if it has to be 4 characters, and you join each of the covenants and you progress through the renown system, and you get, let's just say, exalted with that covenant, or you complete that campaign, then a character should be able to pick and choose what covenant abilities they want to use, and maybe then be able to swap them accordingly. The issue is if you have impacting signature abilities in a gameplay environment, numbers are always going to win. And if you want to be competitive, or even dare I say it, selected from looking for group, you're going to have to choose the numerically superior covenant based on whatever you're doing: PvP, Mythic Plus, raiding, pet battles. It's fine to think and say that it's only the 1% that are going to care about min-maxing, and I've been guilty of saying that too. But the issue I think that, I certainly forget, and I think a lot of people forget, is the flow-on effect. It might be the 1% that really care about that, but the problem is the greater community is going to grab hold of that 1%, and it's going to filter out. It's going to have a flow-on effect to a much greater percent of the community than just the top 1% of players at that content level. The good news for alts around this is that once you've reached a maximum level with one character and you've chosen a covenant, you'll be able to immediately choose a covenant for any additional characters once you bring them into Shadowlands. So that's pretty cool. At least there's already some friendly sort of alt news coming out, but I'm really concerned about changing covenants and covenant signature abilities and what kind of impact they're going to have on the game. Moving in through covenants, Soulbinds and Conduits. So I had a muck around with this on the event realm, and again, I'd read nothing about this, as I'm actually having a good time in BFA at the moment, believe it or not. So I haven't spent a whole lot of time in alpha, but this opportunity was obviously really good, and I wanted to try and make sort of the most of it. After hitting max level, you'll choose and pledge yourself to a covenant, as I've been over, and doing this will give you access to 2 of the 3 Soulbinds straight away. So you'll have access to 2 of your Soulbinds. There's a max of 3. The third one gets unlocked when you finish your covenant campaign. Now, you can only have 1 active Soulbind at a time, and you'll unlock new rows of your Soulbinds and your power, I suppose, as you increase your rep through your covenant via the renown system. So basically, as you increase your renown, you'll unlock further stages or talents, I suppose, on your conduit tree. Now, there's 3 types of conduits: potency, which is throughput bonuses; finesse, which is utility bonuses; and endurance, which is defensive bonuses. This is where it's going. Another little tricky spot for Blizzard is going to come in. So Soulbind traits and conduits can be changed at the Forge of Bonds, which is inside your Covenant Sanctum, which is basically a class hall. And here's where it gets tricky. These are very much Artifact 2.0s with relics. The problem is, if you want to replace a conduit, you lose the one you are replacing it with. So you can change them. You can go nuts. You can just use a tome, and you can change it when you go to your class hall. The issue is you lose the one that you farm. So if something comes into play where you need a certain set of conduits for Mythic Plus but not raiding, or raiding but not Mythic Plus, or PvP but not raiding and Mythic Plus, there's no interchangeable options where you keep your conduits. You are destroying it, meaning that if one's best for Mythic Plus but not for PvP, you're going to have to go back and farm the other one. the giant solution here, which seems really simple, is that conduits adapt the same form or same interface that we've got with essences right now, where once you earn a conduit, it just gets parked on the side and you can interchange them that way. That seems to be the best way to approach this, I think. Otherwise, I don't kind of know how this is going to go down. I really don't know how it's going to work out. That's going to be very interesting to see, but hopefully, if enough people give feedback around that, maybe that's something we'll see. Unlike the artifact as well, you won't actually end up completing the entire tree. You kind of come down to a fork where you have 3 options and you'll have to choose which way you want to go. So you start at the top, you finish at the bottom, but there is a choice midway through, as you can see on the screen once I put it in. And so that, again, is going to be interesting. So Renown. I've spoken about Renown. What is Renown? It's the system you're going to be using for your Covenant, basically. So as you progress through your Covenant story, your campaign, your quests, you'll build Renown, and returning back to your class hall, doing things from the Moor and all that kind of stuff will sort of increase what you're doing there. Renown will give you specific rewards, things like unlocking new rows of power in the Soulbind trees I spoke about, increasing the item level of the items you receive from world quests, increasing the maximum potential level of the features within your sanctum, earning legendary recipes for the Runecrafter in Torghast, and earning unique Covenant-themed cosmetics like mounts, pets, back attachments, titles, and transmog. So, yeah, I mean, from what I saw on the event server, it's all looking really interesting. I just think there's some real caveats Blizzard could fall into and have to be really careful, because I think some of this stuff could honestly, I'm not trying to be a douche here, but it could actually make or break, I think, Shadowlands. If they screw this up, we could have, Azerite 2.0 issues, we could have Essence 2.0 issues, and it could be a mess straight off of that, which everyone was hoping Shadowlands would avoid. One thing I want to just touch on before I get into Blood DK, as, I was kind of just rambling this off as we went. The flight paths, when you are going to the other side, so when you're traveling from the zones to Oribos, you cross over to the other side. And it's really cool the first time. And then after that, I think people might have seizures, they'll get sick of it, and there probably needs to be a skip function to be able to skip through what I'm showing you on the screen right now, because every time you fly there, you cop this, like every time, and there's no option to skip. So it's cool, but it's cool once sort of thing. So moving into Blood DK now, because I've had a lot of people asking me, what do I think of Blood DK on Alpha? I think a couple of things. One good thing with Blood DK is I don't feel like Blood DK was underpinned by BFA systems, okay? So Blood DK didn't really have any system in BFA which made us play a certain way or changed us or took us from, weak to powerful. So the good thing about Shadowlands is because of that, we basically move in and we play the exact same way that we did in Shadowlands. So the familiarity is absolutely there. So that's good on one hand. On the other hand, it kind of just feels like you're playing the exact same thing in a new expansion. And I'm a bit seesawy on this one, because I really like the way Blood DK feels, but when you get an expansion and there's something new about the way your class plays, that's something to learn and get excited over, where I don't feel like DK has that exactly in the Blood aspect. We obviously have new abilities, which comes with new binds, and honestly, while I've been playing Alpha, I've been thinking about where the hell I'm going to bind everything. Anti-Magic Zone's back, Lichborn's back, Chains of Ice is back, which is absolutely awesome. We've got Summon Ghoul and Pet Sacrifice, which at the moment, it's a 25% heal. So I'm wondering if the DPS component probably won't be very good from the Ghoul, whether or not you'll just be macroing Raise Ghoul and Sacrifice into a macro, and then just using that as a 25% heal cooldown when needed. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. My big gripe with Blood otherwise at the moment is the talents. I spoke about this on stream the other night, but the talents for me, I like the first row. So like Heartbreaker, Blood Drinker, and Tombstone's been moved down to the first row 15. The cool thing about this is Heartbreaker's Mythic Plus, it's AoE. Blood Drinker's Raid, it's single target. And Tombstone's a defensive option. So if they kind of adopted this philosophy to each of their talent rows, not all based around damage, but you would kind of get to make decisions around going full damage, and then as you progressed through content levels or progression, you could start to kind of move over to more defensive options because you had the option to kind of make builds around that, and that would be really cool to see. Whereas we have this choice on the first row, and then we get into the second row with rapid decomposition, hemostasis, and consumption, and again, I can't see anything beating hemostasis. Rapid decomposition, you know, is cool, and it's had a slight change, but it's not enough. I don't think it's enough to beat hemostasis. Consumption was always so giga OP because of Vampiric Aura, and I think Vampiric Aura was coming back maybe in one of the conduits. I think I read, but again, I don't know, and because this is just kind of a babble video, I haven't bothered to go find out, so maybe someone can drop it in the comments below. But again, talents-wise, you're still going to go with Hemostasis. Foul Bulwark in the next row, Ossuary and Relish in Blood. Relish in Blood's a new talent, but again, I don't think anything is going to overtake Ossuary. Ossuary not only encourages really good use around your runes and Bone Shield and Marrow Rends, but it also allows you to bank up 3 Death Strikes, which is just huge for challenging content. I almost think they should, and this might break DKs, it might make them, you know, extremely strong, but if they just would bake Ossuary in to baseline, and then just put something else there on this sort of Bone Shield management row, I think it would be better. That's something else I forgot to mention is back to baseline is Rune Tap and Blood Tap. So Rune Tap got a slight nerf, but it's off GCD. Having that back in the toolkit is extremely powerful, especially with Blood Tap to refund that kind of cost, if you're going to use it that way. Row 35, Will of the Necropolis, Anti-Magic Barrier, and Mark for Blood. So Will of the Necropolis will be default, Anti-Magic Barrier will probably have some uses. This is all just my thoughts at the moment, obviously. Row 40, Grip of the Dead, Tightening Grasp, and Wraithwalk. I think they should, Grip of the Dead, you know, is a fantastic Mythic Plus talent. It's generally always taken. Wraithwalk is generally a raid option, and if there's a raid fight with ads, Tightening Grasp comes into it. I don't have a big problem with this row. I just wonder if you could do something else with Tightening Grasp. Row 45, Voracious, Death Pack, and Bloodworms. Death Pack is, I think that's a wasted talent. Put something else in there. Bloodworms is going to do DPS and healing, so I think it's always going to be the pick over Voracious. I don't know, maybe Voracious will come into something somewhere. I don't know, but I just see Bloodworms being the pick again. And then we get to row 50, which is good. Purgatory, Red Thirst, and Bone Storm, because it goes back to this point I made in the first row. Purgatory survivability and a cheat death in regards to gaps in your rotation and gameplay issues. Red Thirst is I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, I'm comfortable with the content, and I want more access to Vamp Blood to control myself. Kudos, cool beans. And then Bone Storm, I want to do more AoE damage. Like, they're cool choices, but I don't feel like we get them through the rest of the tree. So that's kind of my gripe with DK at the moment. I'll be interested to hear what you guys think. As always, though, it's alpha. It's a long way away. Beta will start soon. Hopefully, we start seeing sort of more changes coming into it. But at the moment, it all feels very much the same heading into alpha, obviously, with the bonuses of AMZ, Rune Tap baseline, and things like that, which is going to make DK very strong. And, you know, I'm certainly looking forward to it. But yeah, I just have these concerns around those areas, just in regards to making the spec, you know, fun and have meaningful choices. So that's my alpha babble at the moment, guys, from the event server I got to play on and just from the limited experience I've had over there. So keen to hear your own thoughts around this and what you've seen and what you've watched, and if you've been playing it yourself. I'll probably try and get on and do a few more alpha sort of streams and things like that in the coming weeks, because I've really been lazy like that. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Come find me on Twitch. Come join the Discord. I'll see you all next time. See you, fam.